He's concerned about World War III. Russia's nuclear doctrine calls for the employment of nuclear weapons. The West and the East are going to be fighting on the opposite side, and he's assembling the coalition to target both U.S. homeland and allies. Putin wants to make sure that he builds an anti-U.S. axis, which includes North Korea, China, Cuba, Venezuela.
Breaking news coming out that for the first time in 24 years, Russian President Vladimir Putin is going to be visiting North Korea. And what do you think they're going to be talking about? Well, I'm going to be sharing with you what it is the experts are saying. And yes, they are saying there's discussions with the current conflicts all over the world about World War III and Russia and North Korea unifying. And they believe these talks have already taken place between China and Russia as well, and that Putin is now getting North Korea on board. Now, this comes, as I shared with you just yesterday, that Russia called NATO's chiefs' nuclear remarks an escalation of tensions. Now, what was it that they said that made Russia so mad and feel like this is escalating tensions towards potential war? Well, it's the same thing we saw the United States say last week as well, and that is that they could be deploying more nuclear weapons. The United States and NATO both vocalizing they're going to be taking nuclear weapons out of storage and having them on standby ready for potential nuclear war. And this is in response to the growing threat from Russia and China. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you the latest video footage and articles on this so you can see it for yourself, as today we're hearing that Putin is in North Korea meeting with Kim Jong-un. Now, in addition to that, if you want to stay caught up on the latest information, you can join me here on the channel. And also, I've got a video sponsor that's going to be making sure you get every bit of information coming out from every angle. But more on that later on in the video. But let's go ahead and dive right in and get you caught up on the latest breaking news, as rumors of World War III are increasing, it seems like, every single day. Now, before we dive in, do me a favor. If you appreciate the updates, even though I know this is not what anybody wants to hear, that we are on the brink of World War III, but if you appreciate knowing what's going on, do me a quick favor, hit that like button for me, subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? And with that being said, though, let's go ahead and get into the video footage and article.
Kim Jong-un in North Korea for what the Kremlin describes as a, quote, friendly state visit. Now, according to a letter published by North Korean state media, Putin has promised to build up trade and security systems in Pyongyang that are, quote, not controlled by the West.
Rebecca Koffler is a former U.S. Defense intelligence officer and joins us now. Rebecca, good morning to you. This is the first time Vladimir Putin is visiting North Korea in 24 years. Why now, and what is this visit all about?
Two reasons. First, now that the Russia-Ukraine war is on highly escalatory path, Putin wants to make sure that he builds an anti-U.S. axis, which includes North Korea, China, Cuba, Venezuela, right? Why is that? President Biden recently authorized Ukraine to use U.S.-provided weapons to strike inside Russia. If that happens, whether intentionally or unintentionally, Russia's nuclear doctrine calls for the employment of nuclear weapons. So Putin is concerned that if he were to cross the nuclear threshold, how would the West respond? He's concerned about World War III. And in that situation, the West and the East are going to be fighting on the opposite side, and he's assembling the coalition where he can enable third parties to target both U.S. homeland and allies such as South Korea, to augment their own targeting capability to strike the homeland. So this is why he just sent the ships also to Latin America, and he's doing a lot of other things behind the scenes just to prepare for the worst case scenario.
How do we as the U.S. balance the desire to help Ukraine win the war both economically and militarily, while not at the same time driving a desperate Putin in the arms of nuclear war? That, to me, is the bigger concern. We want to keep him down, but we don't want to make him desperate. Your thoughts?
Yes, this is the crux of the whole matter. Ukraine war is unwinnable for Ukraine for the reasons that we discussed discussed multiple times, including on the show, Russia just enjoys an overwhelming military and economic advantage. Putin is now having an upper hand that he dictates how the peace can be achieved. So, and we also missed the window of opportunity. Specifically, the Obama administration did, and his national security apparatus, and the Obama 2.0 cabinet. Antony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, they simply did not prepare a counter strategy. I personally briefed NATO and multiple U.S. combatant commands, Strategic Command that also actually manages our nuclear arsenal. I am flying out at the end of this week to bring the U.S. Space Force, NORAD, that missed actually the Chinese balloons, basically about Putin's thinking and his warfighting strategy that I described in the book. We missed that opportunity, and right now we're investing in the destruction of Ukraine, as sad as it is.
Listen, to that point, NATO Secretary General, who's going to be on Fox and Friends later this morning, just made some very newsworthy comments saying that there have been talks among NATO members about bringing nuclear weapons out of storage, placing them on standby to send a direct message to our enemies. What do you think about that?
I think it's an excellent idea, but it's a little too late, because nuclear weapons by themselves, they don't win wars. Right now, also the United States does not view nuclear weapons as a viable battlefield capability. Every time Putin mentions the term nukes, the Biden administration goes into a frenzy. As opposed to that, Putin actually has 6,000 nuclear weapon arsenals, but he also has a very viable doctrine called escalate to de-escalate, where everything is planned out. We have no policy. Every single war game that I participated in back in the intelligence community, where we simulated a direct Russia-US conflict, Putin crossed the nuclear threshold, at which point the war game stopped. Why did it stop? Because we have no policy.
Right, yeah.
So we have the most wonderful weapons in the world. We have the best war-fighting force in military history, the U.S. force, but it's badly mismanaged. It's mismanaged because we have no policy on how to deter our adversaries and how to bring these wars to closure. Every single war is just dragging on and dragging on, including with much weaker adversaries than us.
Yeah, that's right. And China rapidly expanding its nuclear arsenal, up 22% in 1 year, increasing their stockpile faster than any country. And now we can firmly say that Iran is a nuclear threshold state. They have, looks like they have the capability, the technology. They're just waiting to pull the trigger.
Exactly. Yeah. They're de facto a nuclear state.
Keep in mind, Trump said climate change is not existential. Nuclear war is. Biden keeps saying climate change is the existential threat.
That's a great point.
You have, there's a decision when you vote in the voting booth. Which one do you think is the most existential?
And there you go. Now, adversaries know that our president is half brain dead, and he also does not make the right priorities that put the U.S. security at the top.
So there you have it, and let me know, do you agree with her that right now our nation, our resources are poorly managed by the Biden administration? And you heard her say that our leader is half brain dead right now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And take a look at this article that came out today from BBC, linked in the description below. I always cite the sources for you, that Putin is going to be visiting North Korea for the first time in 24 years. Russian President Vladimir Putin has praised North Korea for firmly supporting Moscow's war in Ukraine, ahead of his first visit in 24 years. Mr. Putin is expected to arrive in the capital of North Korea to meet leader Kim Jong-un on Tuesday. The two leaders last met in September back in Russia's Far East, but this is Mr. Putin's first visit to North Korea since 2000. In a letter published in North Korea's state media, Mr. Putin promised to build a trade and security system with North Korea that is not controlled by the West. President Putin also vowed support for North Korea's efforts to defend its interests despite what he called U.S. pressure, blackmail, and military threats. He said that the two countries would continue to resolutely oppose what he described as Western ambitions to hinder the establishment of a multipolarized world order based on mutual respect for justice. The United States said it was concerned about the deepening relationship between these two countries. Now, Mr. Kim said last week that the ties with Russia had developed into an unbreakable relationship of comrades in arms. During their meeting last year, Mr. Putin said that he saw possibilities for military cooperation with North Korea, while Mr. Kim wishes Russia's president victory in Ukraine. The White House said that the U.S. is concerned about closer ties between Russia and North Korea. We're not concerned about the trip by Mr. Putin, National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby told reporters on Monday yesterday. What we are concerned about is the deepening relationship between these two countries. John Nielsen Wright, head of the Japanese-Korean program at Cambridge University Center of Geopolitics, said that Mr. Putin is strengthening his ties with its old Cold War partners in an effort to counter any suggestion that the United States and its allies have been able to isolate Moscow. He is bolstering relationships between authoritarian regimes at a time when democratic governments are in a defense position, confronting global security challenges in the Middle East, East Asia, and Ukraine, he added. Ties between the two pariah states have increased in recent years, especially since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. North Korea needs help with space technology after its recent failure to put a spy satellite into orbit, as well as food, fuel, and foreign currency, while Russia faces a continued shortage of weapons in its war with Ukraine. Washington and Seoul have accused North Korea of supplying Moscow with artillery and other equipment, most likely in exchange for food and military aid and technology. Both North Korea and Russia deny the existence of an arms deal. So this is taking place today, and let me know your thoughts. Is this preparation for World War III, and should the U.S. be on alert? Well, what we're hearing right now is that the United States and NATO, they are, and they're pulling out of storage nuclear weapons, prepping them, having them on standby just in case there should be an all-out nuclear war and World War III. Now, to get the latest on that, as I share with you the breaking news as soon as it came out yesterday, the response we got from Russia on this as well, check out this video right here next as I covered it in detail for you. But that is the latest, you guys, and I'll be sure to keep you up to date as more unfolds. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.